I found it beneath the guest room mattress while changing sheets. A leather-bound journal with my mother-in-law Helen's precise handwriting filling its pages. The spine cracked as I opened it, releasing that musty smell of long-kept secrets. My name is Arya, and until 10 minutes ago, I thought I was just having an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in the Thompson family mansion. Now my hands won't stop shaking as I read entry after entry, each one more devastating than the last. That girl will never truly be one of us, one passage sneered. Michael could have done so much better. Rachel agrees we need to make sure she knows her place. The words blur as tears threaten to spill. 3 years of strained smiles, of trying to belong, of telling myself I was being paranoid. All of it validated in Helen's own handwriting. Every accidental exclusion from family photos, every last-minute change to holiday plans, every whispered conversation that stopped when I entered a room. It was all here, meticulously documented like some twisted operation. I flipped to a more recent entry. Convinced Michael to keep Arya out of the investment meeting. The family business stays in Thompson hands. She'd probably try to modernize everything and ruin what we've built. The sound of a car door slamming sends me scrambling. Through the window, I watch Michael stride up the driveway, briefcase in hand, looking every bit the successful businessman his mother molded him to be. My husband. The man who swore to always have my back. I stuffed the journal into my bag, heart pounding. The evidence of my mother-in-law's campaign against me burns like poison in my hands. But knowledge is power, isn't it? And now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Hey, you're home early, Michael calls from downstairs. His footsteps echo on the marble floors, getting closer. I smooth my face into the mask I've perfected over the years. Just finishing up some cleaning, I reply, voice steady despite the storm raging inside. He appears in the doorway, loosening his tie. Mom called. She wants us over for dinner tonight. Something about discussing the summer house arrangements. Of course she does. I can almost see the corresponding journal entry she'll write later. Another opportunity to remind the outsider where she stands. I meet his eyes and smile, already formulating plans. Sounds perfect, I lie. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Let them think I'm still the compliant daughter-in-law, still desperately seeking their approval. But things are about to change in the Thompson family. And this time I'm writing the script. The dining room gleams with perfection. Crystal glasses catching light, fresh flowers arranged just so, name cards written in my best calligraphy. I've spent 3 days planning this dinner, determined to prove I can be the perfect Thompson daughter-in-law. Even with Helen's journal burning a hole in my desk drawer upstairs, I refuse to let her win. Everything looks lovely, Michael says, adjusting his tie. Though Mother usually puts the wine glasses on the left. Of course she does. I move them without comment, watching the careful arrangement I'd created shift into Helen's preferred formation. The doorbell chimes and my stomach clenches. Helen sweeps in first, Rachel trailing behind her like a shadow. Darling, you've outdone yourself, Helen says, air-kissing my cheek. Her eyes scan the table, lingering on the centerpiece. Though I usually find roses a bit common for formal dinners. I helped arrange them, Rachel adds quickly. When I stopped by earlier, she hadn't. But before I can respond, Oliver and James arrive, completing our little family circus. James catches my eye and winks, the only genuine smile I've seen all evening. The soup course starts smoothly enough. Then Helen clears her throat. Michael, darling, have you told Arya about the board's decision regarding the expansion? Michael freezes, spoon halfway to his mouth. Mother, we agreed. Oh, surely she knows by now? About moving the headquarters to Boston. My spoon clatters against china. Boston. The word feels like glass in my mouth. We talked about expanding the business, but moving? This is the first I'm hearing of it. It's not final, Michael says quickly, but won't meet my eyes. Just an option we're exploring. The Thompson family has always prioritized business opportunities. Helen continues smoothly. I'm sure Arya understands that, though it might be difficult for her to adjust to such a significant change. Rachel jumps in, voice dripping concern. It would mean leaving your little photography business behind, wouldn't it? Such a shame. My carefully planned dinner dissolves into chaos. Every comment becomes a subtle jab, every gesture loaded with meaning. Michael sits silent, letting his mother orchestrate my humiliation like a master conductor. Only James speaks up. "I find it interesting," he says, his aged voice cutting through the tension, "how some people mistake cruelty for strength." His eyes fix on Helen, who actually flinches. Later, after they've gone, I stand in the empty dining room. The roses are wilting. Wine glasses still perfectly positioned where Helen dictated. Michael approaches, touches my shoulder. "They mean well," he starts. I shrug off his hand, remembering the journal upstairs. "No," I say quietly, "they really don't." And for the first time, I'm not afraid to admit it. The company financial records spread across my desk like a map of betrayal. 3 hours of digging through Michael's carelessly discarded papers reveal what Helen's been orchestrating behind the scenes. The Boston move isn't just a possibility. It's a carefully orchestrated escape plan from the company's mounting debt. My hands shake as I dial James's number. He answers on the second ring. "They're selling off the photography division," I say without preamble. Helen convinced the board it's dragging down profits, but that's not true. The real problem is the resort investment she pushed Michael into last year. "Ah." James's voice carries a weight of understanding. "The one in Palm Springs. It's hemorrhaging money. And now she's orchestrating this move to Boston to hide the losses." My voice catches. "They're going to destroy everything Michael's grandfather built." "Everything I built," James corrects quietly. "Come over, Arya. There's something you need to see." An hour later, I'm sitting in James's study, staring at documents that make my earlier discoveries seem trivial. Helen's manipulation runs deeper than family dynamics. She's been systematically redirecting company funds, using Michael's trust and Oliver's silence to dismantle the company's foundation. She's always resented that I gave Michael operational control instead of Oliver, James says, pouring us both a drink. This is her way of maintaining power. The doorbell interrupts us. Through the study window, I spot Michael's car in the driveway. My heart pounds as voices drift up from below. "Father? Is Arya here?" Helen's sharp tone carries clearly. "Her car's outside." James squeezes my hand. "Use the back stairs," he whispers. "Take these documents." "And Arya?" It's time to stop playing by their rules. I slip out just as Helen's heels click on the main staircase. Through the kitchen window, I watch Michael and his mother enter the study. Helen's voice rises, sharp with accusation. "What have you been telling her?" That night, Michael comes home late, reeking of whiskey. "Why were you at grandfather's?" he demands, swaying slightly. "Mother says you're trying to turn him against us." "Against us?" I laugh, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "There is no us anymore, Michael. There's just you and whatever scheme your mother's running. You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." I slide the financial documents across the coffee table. "The question is, do you?" He stares at the papers, color draining from his face. For a moment I see the man I married, before Helen stripped away everything that made him strong. "Arya, I can explain." "Don't bother." I head upstairs, leaving him with the evidence of his family's betrayal. "Your mother can explain it all to the board next week." Behind me, glass shatters against a wall. But for the first time in years, I don't flinch. James's birthday invitation arrives on cream-colored cardstock, Florida's palm trees embossed in gold. A handwritten note falls from the envelope. "The guest house is yours if you want it. Sometimes distance brings clarity." I trace the words, remembering our conversation about the financial documents. Before I can respond, Michael snatches the invitation from my hands. "Mother's already planning the family trip," he says, scanning the card. "We'll stay at the main house, of course. Rachel's handling the arrangements." "Of course she is." I watch him toss the invitation onto the counter, James's note face down. "The guest house might be nice," I suggest. "More privacy." Michael's laugh holds an edge. "Don't start, Arya. After that stunt with the board meeting." "You mean exposing the truth about the Palm Springs disaster?" "Those documents were confidential. Mother had to call in favors to contain the damage." He loosens his tie, a gesture so like his father it makes my skin crawl. "Besides, the guest house is where the staff stays." The words hit like a slap. I think of Helen's journal, of all the times they've made their hierarchy clear. Something shifts inside me, a final thread snapping. My phone buzzes, a text from Rachel. Booked adjoining rooms for you and Michael next to Mother. Family should stick together. I screenshot the message and send it to James, adding, "Guess I know where I stand." His reply comes instantly. "Do you?" That night, I slip into Michael's home office. His laptop password hasn't changed since our wedding date. Within minutes, I find what I'm looking for. Helen's meticulous travel arrangements. First-class tickets, connecting flights through Atlanta, matching luggage ordered for the entire family. I forward everything to my private email, then systematically delete the evidence of my search. As I close the laptop, a photo on Michael's desk catches my eye, our wedding day. Helen stands between us, her hand gripping Michael's arm. I never noticed before how she's angled him away from me. My phone buzzes again. James. The guest house key will be under the blue pot, but only if you're ready to stop playing their game. I stare at the wedding photo, at my younger self's hopeful smile. 3 years of trying to earn my place in this family, of shrinking myself to fit their mold. The next morning, I booked my own ticket to Florida. Not first class, not through Atlanta. Let them have their perfectly coordinated family arrival. I have other plans. Everything set for James's birthday? Michael asks over breakfast, not looking up from his phone. I smile, thinking of the guest house key and the separate flights. Everything's perfect, I say. And for once I'm not lying. The matching luggage Helen ordered sits in neat rows in our bedroom. His and hers sets in burgundy leather, monogrammed with the Thompson family crest. I run my fingers over Michael's initials as Jessica's voice crackles through my phone speaker. "Are you sure about this, are ya? Once you do it." "They're just suitcases," I say, but we both know that's a lie. I unzip Michael's bag. Already packed with Helen's precise instructions for the Florida trip. A post-it note on top lists every item, color-coded by event. The switch takes less than 20 minutes. His clothes into my Old Navy suitcase, mine into the Thompson-approved leather. But it's what I add to his new bag that matters. Helen's journal, the financial documents, USB drives full of evidence. Everything I've collected over the past months, wrapped in his crisp dress shirts. My phone buzzes with Rachel's text. Mother says don't forget the coral dress for Thursday's dinner. She wants family photos on the beach. I place the coral dress carefully in Michael's bag, imagining Helen's face when she opens it tomorrow at the airport. Another text arrives, this one from James. Guest house is ready. Sometimes the best view of a storm is from a safe distance. The front door opens downstairs. Michael's home early. I quickly zip both bags, heart pounding. Arya. His footsteps on the stairs. Mother wants to review the itinerary before tomorrow. I open the bedroom door before he reaches it. The bags are packed, I say, gesturing to the matching set. Everything according to Helen's lists. He smiles, that distant expression I've grown to hate. Good. Though you didn't need the old suitcase. He points to my navy bag tucked in the corner. Just being prepared. You know how your mother feels about backup plans. His phone rings, Helen's ringtone. He answers immediately, turning away. Yes, Mother. No, everything's set. Arya's followed your instructions exactly. I watch him pace, nodding at Helen's voice, and something inside me solidifies. 3 years of being managed, arranged, controlled. Tomorrow they'll all learn what happens when you push someone too far. Jessica's picking me up early, I say when he hangs up. Women's breakfast before the flight, remember? He nods absently, already typing on his phone. I step close, breathe in his familiar cologne. I love you, I say, and for the last time I mean it. Not the man he's become, but the one I married. The one his mother erased. Oh, love you too. He doesn't look up. I close the bedroom door softly behind me, leaving him with his phone and his matching luggage and all the carefully arranged pieces of the life that's about to shatter. Tomorrow, the Thompson family will learn that some storms can't be controlled. From my window seat on a different flight, I watch their plane taxi down the runway. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since Helen opened Michael's suitcase at check-in. 27 missed calls. 43 texts. 1 voicemail that I can't bring myself to delete. How dare you? Michael's voice shakes with rage. Mother's having a breakdown. The board documents, her private journal. Everything's going public unless we meet your demands. I don't even recognize you anymore. I text James. They found everything. Is the guest house still safe? His reply comes instantly. Helen's already called, threatening legal action. But some storms are worth weathering. The flight attendant asks me to switch to airplane mode. As I comply, a final message from Rachel pops up. Hope you're happy. You've destroyed this family. 3 hours later, I land in Florida. My phone explodes with notifications. Breaking news alerts about Thompson Industries. Leaked documents. Financial irregularities. Helen's name splashed across business headlines. A text from Jessica. It's all over social media. Michael's giving a press conference with Helen. I pull up the live stream. There they stand, mother and son, perfectly coordinated in crisis management blue. Helen's face is tear-stained but determined. Michael looks shell-shocked as he reads from a prepared statement. My wife's actions reflect a disturbing pattern of instability. His words cut deeper than I expected. We are cooperating fully with authorities to address these malicious allegations. The camera pans to Helen, who plays her part perfectly. We only wanted to help her, she sobs. We gave her everything, and this is how she repays our love? I close the video, hands shaking. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. They've twisted everything, turned me into the villain of their story. Again. My phone rings, an unknown number. I answer without thinking. The guest house is compromised, James says without preamble. Helen's sending security. You need to leave. Now. Through the airport windows, I spot 2 men in suits scanning the crowd. Thompson Industries security, no doubt. James, I'm sorry. I never meant. No time. There's a car waiting outside domestic arrivals. Silver Lexus, driver named Marcus. He'll take you somewhere safe. But your birthday will be better celebrated knowing you're free of them. His voice softens. Sometimes the price of freedom is being cast as the villain in someone else's story. I end the call, shouldering my old Navy suitcase. Through the terminal windows, I can see the silver Lexus idling. Behind me, the suits are getting closer. Everything I planned, every careful move has exploded in my face. But as I walk toward the exit, spine straight despite the weight of their accusations, I realize something. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself. Marcus drives me to a beachfront property miles from James's estate. The sun sets over the Gulf as I spot a familiar figure on the deck. James himself, looking more determined than his 85 years should allow. They're holding an emergency board meeting tomorrow, he says as I approach. Helen's convinced the directors you're unstable, dangerous. She would. I lean against the railing, watching waves crash below. I've seen the news. I'm the ungrateful wife who betrayed the family's trust. Are you? His question hangs in the salt air. Or are you the first person to stand up to Helen in 30 years? Before I can respond, car headlights sweep across the deck. Michael's voice carries from below. Grandfather? Security said you'd be here. James squeezes my hand. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people face their own truth. Michael appears at the top of the stairs, Helen close behind. She's traded her designer suit for casual resort wear, but her eyes are steel. How dare you come here? She spits. After what you've done. What I've done. I laugh, the sound harsh against the ocean's rhythm. I simply showed everyone who you really are, Helen. Your own words did the rest. Michael steps forward. Arya, please. We can fix this. Come home. Tell the board it was a misunderstanding. Like you fixed things when your mother systematically excluded me? Or when she manipulated company funds while you looked the other way? I never. He stops as James pulls out a folder. The original documents, James says quietly. Not copies. Including Helen's instructions to the Palm Springs developers. And the offshore account details. Helen's composure cracks. You helped her? Your own family. I helped the truth, Helen. Something you forgot about years ago. James hands the folder to Michael. Read it. All of it. Then decide what kind of man you want to be. Michael's hands shake as he opens the folder. Helen lunges for it, but he steps back. For the first time, I see him really look at his mother. Is this true? He whispers. The missing pension funds? Helen's silence is answer enough. I never wanted to destroy your family, I say softly. I just refused to let you destroy me. James clears his throat. The board meets at 9 tomorrow. Helen's version of events or the truth? Your choice, Michael. Michael looks at his mother, then at me, then down at the damning evidence in his hands. In his face, I see the boy who once dreamed of running the company with integrity battling the man who let his mother corrupt everything she touched. Choose wisely, I say, turning to leave. I already have. Behind me, Helen starts to speak, but Michael cuts her off. For the first time in our marriage, he's not listening to his mother's voice. He's listening to his conscience. The morning headlines splash across my laptop. Thompson Industries announces major restructuring. Below, a photo of Michael at the board meeting, spine straight as he faces down his mother's empire. The article mentions Helen's immediate retirement and an independent audit of company finances. I close the browser and focus on my camera's viewfinder. Through the lens, waves crash against the shore of my new beach rental. James's birthday gift, 6 months paid lease, sits light on my conscience now. Some gifts come with strings, but his came with wings. My phone buzzes. Rachel's number. I let it ring through to voicemail, like I have every call since that night on James's deck. Her messages have evolved from fury to something approaching understanding. Today's simply says, "You were right about Mother. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." The gallery website is almost ready to launch. My photographs, raw, honest captures of broken things made beautiful, already have a waiting list. Turns out leaving the Thompson family opened doors I never knew existed. A knock at the door breaks my concentration. Through the peephole, I see Michael looking smaller somehow in civilian clothes. "The audit found everything," he says when I open the door. "Mother's facing charges. The board wants me to clean house, rebuild from scratch." He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it aches. I told them I needed to fix my own house first. I don't invite him in. Some thresholds shouldn't be recrossed. "I'm not coming back, Michael." "I know." He pulls out an envelope. "Divorce papers. Already signed. And..." He hesitates. "The rights to your photography series. The ones Mother claimed were company property. They're yours now." I take the envelope, our fingers not quite touching. "Thank you. Grandfather says you're doing well. Says sometimes the strongest people are the ones who walk away." James always did see clearly. I manage a small smile, even when the rest of us were blind. Michael turns to leave, then stops. "Was any of it real?" "Us. All of it," I say softly. "That's why it had to end." After he's gone, I return to my camera. Through the viewfinder, I catch a perfect moment. A seabird rising from broken waves, wings spread against the sun. Behind it, dark clouds gather on the horizon. Another storm approaching. But I'm not afraid of storms anymore. Sometimes they wash away the old to make room for something new. Sometimes they teach you that the most powerful act of revenge isn't destruction. It's creation. I press the shutter, capturing that moment between flight and freedom. Some pictures tell their own stories. Some stories write their own endings. And some endings are really beginnings in disguise.